if you are a farmer, an athlete, a gardener, people who are all the time outdoors because of their job or because they just love being outdoors and they don't protect themselves at all, they have a few areas of their body exposed to the sun excessively, like the nose, the bridge of the nose, the cheeks, the temples, the forehead, the back of the hands, the chest area that's exposed to the sun. Those are the areas where you are getting excessive exposure, and they are going to be suffering a higher likelihood of basal cell carcinoma, sometimes squamous cell carcinoma. Those are less invasive cancers. They don't cause as big of a problem, but they cover broad areas that are not so visible. They take a long time before you can start seeing them. First, the skin will become a little rough, and you can feel it if you put your fingers right underneath your eyes and go very, very gently. Don't go too hard. Very gently around the eye, on the temple, on the forehead, down the bridge of the nose and both sides of the bridge. If you feel any roughness when you do that, that roughness could be the start of a solar keratosis, the hardening and the proliferating of skin cells resulting from sun damage from one hand and food damage from the inside out. That combination is the main cause for carcinomas of the skin. This is the beginning. After you have that original roughness, it can get a little thicker and sometimes it gets darker. And then you have dark spots in different places. Sometimes on the arms, that's also highly exposed. Sometimes on the legs if you're always wearing shorts. Those are solar keratoses and they should be removed. Solar keratoses. They should be removed because they have a high risk of developing into carcinoma. I said again, it's not as bad as melanoma. It does not spread throughout your body and kills you like melanoma does. But it is much more common, especially in those areas that have been exposed. If you have this type of a condition, you want to have it looked and removed right away again instead of waiting, because this is where you are most exposed, your face, your hands. You don't want to end up with big craters and big scars. Also, please remember, the sun does not say, I'm only going to go to your nose. The sun is covering the whole area. It's a broad area. Therefore, in all likelihood, the keratotic lesion is going to be very broad in scope, in area, in space. It's not going to be one little area that happened to be rough, because the rough areas become scaly, and the scales then get peeled off by themselves. When they don't have enough support, they simply fall. And all of a sudden, oh, I don't have that problem anymore. And it comes back. Within a couple of months or 3 months, the cycle begins again. It takes about 6 weeks for the skin to regenerate itself from the bottom to the top. So within 6 to 8 weeks, you're going to start having this keratotic lesion starting again. You say, oh, I thought it was already gone, but it's there again. And it might actually be next time in an adjacent area, because a bigger area has been affected, not just one spot. So at different times, different parts of the skin are going to become keratotic and slough off. And this is the progression of the disease of the skin, until finally it gets both heavily raised, heavily crusty. It can even have ulceration in the center and bleeding sometimes. And that's already the carcinoma, the cancer. At that time, most skin surgeons are going to feel justified in causing major trauma and disfigurement to your skin. They cannot justify ruining somebody's face when it's just a small keratosis. Because if the method is mostly a surgical method, it's too invasive to keep your skin looking good after the treatment. Therefore, they almost prefer to wait, because you're going to be really mad at your doctor if your skin is going to look a lot worse after the treatment than how it was before the treatment. And that's why they tend to wait and watch until now it's bad enough. And now they have developed, have you heard the Mohs procedure?
What procedure?
Mohs procedure.
Mohs?
Mohs. M-O-H-S. Mohs. The Mohs procedure is one of the most barbaric procedures created by skin specialists. And it is basically ignoring the cause and progression of the disorder. It became a way for skin doctors to feel perhaps more important about themselves. Are you a skin doctor? Okay. But you're coming at me.
I've had it on my face.
Okay. The Mohs procedure basically says this: if there is a basic cell carcinoma, we're not going to simply remove it like we used to and cause a local damage, local crater or scarring or stitching on the face. We're going to keep going and looking for more cancer that might be around the area that we have originally seen. And instead of just removing that one area, they keep taking strips of skin, one after the other, and look at it under a microscope while the patient is lying there for hours and hours. And they keep looking in the microscope and say, oh, there's more cancer. We didn't get it all. Let's do another, and another, and another. And sometimes, first of all, they cut through cancer. You don't want to cut through cancer so many times. That's risky. Second, because they keep taking more and more pieces, the scarring, the disfigurement becomes greater and greater. Then they have to do skin grafts. Many times they have to do major stitches. Sometimes I see people with a scar from here to here. The whole thing is one zigzagging scar of the Mohs procedure. And they justify it because they forget that they might as well take it for granted that there will be some cancerous activity in the whole area. After all, it came from the same sun. Why should it be only here? It will be in the whole area. If you look for cancer, you will find it. Does it mean you have to disfigure the whole person's face? You don't. There are better ways. You can slough it from the outside only, very thin layer, and do it just gently in small sections as needed. It's not aggressive cancer. You don't have to destroy a person's face for it. And you don't have to look. You already know. If you know in advance that the cancer is going to be broad, why bother? It makes no sense. It's like ignoring the physiology of the progression of the disease. If anybody tells me that they are scheduled for Mohs